Hey guys, I am finally sitting down to do the what I did different for the bar exam second time around video, which has been a long time coming for no reason other than I have been procrastinating, but I was thinking about it this morning and I realized that most of you who are probably watching this are taking the bar this month, July. So I wanted to get it up this week because a lot of these tips you can really implement in the last few weeks of studying anyways. Sorry, the straw is so long. I'm filming this before I leave for work. It's a Wednesday. So if I'm a little rushed or a little disheveled and I look maybe not amazing, that would probably be why. Oh my God. Brief intermission. I just want to do a little disclaimer at the beginning of this video. I am just giving my advice from my standpoint as someone who's taken the bar twice, both times being online. I'm not an expert. I have truly no qualifications other than just being someone who's taken the bar exam. So just take all this advice with a grain of salt. I'm not telling you this is going to guarantee you pass because I didn't even think I passed. So this is just my advice. Not a guarantee that you'll pass the bar exam. So that's my little legal disclaimer. And that's what going to law school does, guys. You can never say anything without panicking that you're going to get sued. So what can I say? But I have my tips written out here. I really condensed them. There's not much to talk about, so I'm just going to get into it. So my first tip, and this is really more of a general thought on the whole thing. Oh my God, this straw is so long. Is that quality studying matters way more than the quantity. My first go around, and if you're new here, I took the bar in October, which the bar exam in October was, first of all, the first online bar exam. Second of all, it was only half of the questions, which you think might help you, but it actually really hurt me because the way that things were graded, each essay weighed basically double. So we had 3 essays and 1 MPT. Or on the UBE, the Universal Bar Exam, you have 6 essays and 2 MPTs. So I think that really hurt me. But anyways, the first go around, I focused on the hours of studying, and I studied in the beginning like 6 to 8 hours a day, and then towards the end 12 hours. And I timed myself, like I was very strict about getting at the end, like at minimum 10 hours of studying a day. And at the end of the day, if I did those 12 hours or 10 hours, I felt good about it, but I may have not even learned anything that day. So my second go around, first of all, I had dramatically less time to study because I was working full time. So I stopped working full time, I think on January 18th, and that left me just about a month to study. So I really focused on quality. Some days I would honestly only study 5 hours a day. I wasn't really timing myself the second time around. But the studying that I was doing was, intense, and I made sure I was learning things. I wasn't just going through doing multiple choice, like la-di-da, oh, I only got 2 right, whatever, it's a bad day, jotting down some essay stuff. No, I was really doing quality work. Also, the second time around, which is about sort of the same tip, is I did Barbary again because your second go around, Barbary will let you do it for free. You just have to pay for the books, which you get that money back. I did Barbary because I'm like, okay, if I fail a second time, I'll do something else, but let's do Barbary again. I did not watch the lectures because, to be honest, there's no reason to watch them a second time. They're just not entirely that helpful. And second of all, I didn't, read those outlines. Barbary gives you these 1,000-page outlines that I do not find helpful. That's just not my learning style. My learning style is definitely writing things out, memorizing bullet points, but not reading a whole outline. Like reading a whole outline for me does absolutely nothing. So I really worked it back to my studying style, which is bullet points, memorization, jotting things down. Second tip is get a supplement. First go around, I did critical pass flashcards, which I did not like. I found there to be way too much information on the flashcards to the point where it made it pointless to even read because it was like, what are you going to memorize? This entire essay on the back of a flashcard? It's literally just an outline split up into flashcards. I found that to be not helpful. I got Adapt-A-Bar the second time around, which is like 2,400 multiple choice questions, and the multiple choice questions are great. Great. I love those multiple choice questions, and as you go, hence the name Adapt-A-Bar, they change and they adapt to your weaknesses. So towards the end, you might find you're doing kind of poorly on the multiple choice, and that's because Adaptabar has figured out what you don't know, and they're testing you on that. They also have tests, so you don't know the answer right away. You have to answer all the questions and then go over it. They have actual UBE questions, and then they have ones they've made up, and they have flashcards as well. And I liked the flashcards on that app because it was literally just bullet points, like 1 or 2, like a traditional flashcard. And I would read those in bed or in the bath or something like that. So I loved Adaptabar. I cannot recommend it enough. It's worth the $400. It was so worth it. When I started off the second time around studying, I did the entry test on Barbary, and I'm sure Themis has it and all those things too. Just, it like tells you where you stand. So I think I started off out of 100 questions it was, or 70. I got like a 65%, which is pretty good. But again, I took the test already. So, you know, I'm sure the first time that I took it, it was not good. So as I went on, I really focused on increasing that score, because for me, multiple choice is my strong point. The essays I knew I was gonna really suck at, so I needed my multiple choice to be high. So I focused on that. My next tip is to do multiple choice every single day. Even if you're having an essay day or an MPT day, do multiple choice. I did multiple choice. I did 50 multiple choice questions every single day without fail. Maybe like not on my off days if I took a day of studying off, like I wasn't going to do those. But every single day that I was studying, I did 50 multiple choice. I finished all of the questions on Adaptabar. I took all of the Barbary multiple choice tests. I wasn't doing all of their learning sets because, again, I didn't find those helpful. You don't need to know the black letter law. Like, you don't have to memorize it. You just have to know the concept. So for me, answering a question like what are the elements of battery wasn't helpful. I like to have sort of the hypothetical behind it. And my last tip, which will be about multiple choice and then we'll move on, is that bar exam multiple choice questions are not something you read and the answer is right there. I mean, clearly the answer is within those 4 options, or 5, I can't even remember at this point. Clearly the answer is there, but you have to walk through the steps. So if you have a negligence question, you know, you have to go through each step of negligence. You can't be like, oh yeah, he was negligent. It's obviously C, you know, he's liable, whatever. You have to go through, okay, did he have a duty? Did he breach that duty? What was the standard of care? What duty, breach? What are the other, I don't even fucking remember. Duty, breach, causation. Was his breach the cause of the damage? And then was there, you know, a damage? Was the person injured or whatever? You have to go through each step individually in your head before you choose an answer. You just have to take yourself through every step, and if you're dead set on an answer before you even read the options, choose that option, because your gut is usually right if you kind of know what you're talking about. But, you know, there's always going to be a kind of question that you're just never going to be able to memorize. And in that case, you have to just take an educated guess, and that's fine. You're going to have those questions. And do remember that on the UBE, there's 25 questions that don't count. They're like tester questions that they're like feeling out. Should we ask these sort of things in future tests? I can exactly point out questions on the February exam that were testers, because they were so out of this world and outlandish that we're like, what the hell was that question even about? Like, I've never even heard of that topic. So if you find a question like that on the exam, just take an educated guess and don't waste time, because again, half of the bar exam is just about being timely. Next, moving on to the written topic. So first we'll do essays, because I don't really have much to say about those. I personally hated the essays. I didn't take a lot of those classes. I didn't take family law. I didn't take corps or partnerships. I did not take secured transactions. Pretty much the only class that I took was trusts, like wills and estates. Other than that, I didn't take any of those exclusive essay topic classes. So I went in sort of blind on the first go around. I probably did really bad on those essays. They don't tell you, that's the thing when you get your score. If you do pass, they just tell you what your MBE score was and your overall, but they don't go through the essays. If you don't pass, they'll break down what you got on each essay. And I did pretty poorly on the first time. And I honestly don't think I did that much better because the second go around, the essays were really, really, really difficult and very long. At this point, they would have released the essays, so you can go take a look at them, but each essay had multiple answers in it. It wasn't just a 1-2 sort of thing or a 1-2-3. There were like 6 things on one essay I specifically remember. There was a wills essay that I blanked out. I had no clue what any of the answers were, because sometimes it's going to happen. You're so laser focused when you're taking this exam that you're just accessing those specific things in your brain. And sometimes your brain just shuts off because you're panicking. I started to have a panic attack during that essay. And I think it was like my second one or something. It was very early on. I started sweating. My face was red. I was like freaking out. And I was like, just write anything. Throw in those trigger words, those words you know they're looking for. And that's what I did on all of the essays that I had no clue what the hell they were talking about. There was a secured transactions essay that I could not for the life of me decipher. Well, I couldn't figure out whether the rule I was thinking of in my head was for attachment or perfection. Could not remember. So I just wrote all the rules I knew, threw them in, worded them nice, analyzed, and hoped for the best, because that's what the best you can do at the end of the day. So while I was studying for the test, I memorized the highly tested topics. I did not go into depth on each essay or on each essay topic, because you don't have the time to memorize the entirety of the law. You just don't. So you got to focus on what you think they're going to test. And what I also did was write essays on things I didn't know. So if I was going through barbering, I was like, all right, I'm going to write this torts essay. And halfway through, I'm like, oh shit, like I don't even know what the rule is. I just kept going and I wrote it like I was taking the test, and then I graded it and tried to give myself points where I think I would get points. And I practiced doing that, because you have to be prepared that there's going to be at least, at minimum, one essay that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So you've got to be prepared for that. And I know they drill that into your head during bar prep, so you probably already know that. But I'm just here to reiterate that that's important and it's something you should focus on, because you don't want to get, stuck with your pants down, so to say, and have an essay and you're like, what the hell am I supposed to write about? I do not know what perfection is. I do not know. You can't just sit there for 5 minutes trying to think of the rule. You don't have time to do that. So just start writing. Think of your trigger words, your important words for that topic. And now we'll finally move on to MPTs, which is where I think I really brought my points up, which probably helped me on the, written part of the exam. You take 2 MPTs, which is your first day morning session. At least that's how it was in New York. So your MPTs count a lot. And if you haven't started studying for them, you have to start now, and you definitely have enough time. So don't worry. I'm going to link a video down below that I watched, and I made my friend watch too, who was taking the test, and we loved it and found it really helpful. I think she's a professor in California. Amazing, amazing video. So much more helpful than the Barbary MPT videos. And I took a class on writing MPTs and essays my last semester of law school. So my friends were taking it, and I was like, sure. Sounds like something I should do. I got great grades in that class on my MPTs, but when it came for the first time around for the bar exam, I did not study for the MPTs until about the week before, and I just did 1 or 2, and I was like, all right, that's good. I know how to write this. You have to practice them, because it's a science. It's not, oh, do you know what a tort is? Do you know what this is? All the rules are given to you. It is a science of do you know how to write, and how fast can you write? So watch that video. I'll link it down below, because all the tips I have are from that video. And basically she breaks it down to, don't read your facts and your case first. Skip to the library. As you're reading the library, write your headers for your MPT. Obviously you have to read the prompt first to know what the hell you're writing about, but then write your headers as you're reading the cases. And as you're reading the cases, write your IRAC. Generally, bar examiners suggest writing conclusion, issue, rule, analysis, conclusion, which is the outline I followed. So as I was reading the cases, I wrote my headers, my subheaders, and my IRACs. So then when I went and read our case that we are comparing all of these to, I just threw in a few sentences on each IRAC on how it compared to our case, whether it was the same or different, if it helped us or didn't help us. Another thing, which you can score a lot of points on, so don't forget it, and I forgot it the first time around, was you have to write, memorandum or whatever it is, memorandum to whoever, like your boss or whoever you're writing this to, about. You have to do that whole caption at the top. You can easily get like 5 points right there if you do the whole thing and you do the conclusion. Not the conclusion, but like the ending. You have to do that because if you really screw up in the middle, at least you can count on those 5 points or whatever they allot. And I didn't do that the first time and I really screwed myself. So make sure you check out that video. I'm going to have it linked below. And if you take one thing away from this video, it's to go watch her video and comment on the video saying that I sent you if you want. But I love that woman and I like owe her my life or something because she really helped me. And I watched that video probably like the beginning or first or second week of February, and I did it 4 MPTs every single week until the bar exam. So from like the first or second week of February to the bar, I did 4 MPTs every single week and graded them. And I wrote the MPTs in their entirety. I was not fucking around when it came to those MPTs because that can really save you if you screw up on the essays, which I knew essays were not going to be my hot topic there. So I focused a lot on prepping for those MPTs because it's somewhere you can get easy points and you don't have to know anything other than how to write the NPT. And finally, a tip for the overall test is that it is a time crunch. For me, the multiple choice, I don't have issues with time because I'm just a fast multiple choice test taker. And if I get to the end and I want to go back and read things, I truly try to not go back and change answers because every single time I've ever done that, I was right the first time. So I really, really try not to do that. But other than multiple choice, the essays and MPTs, I was down to the wire, like seconds to go. That's just one of the many things they're testing you on the bar exam is how fast can you do it and with what quality of work can you get done in this 90 minutes. You really, really have to practice and you can't panic. I mean, I did start panicking, but I didn't stop. I was taking the test, panicking, but still taking the test because you don't have time to look away. You don't have time to sit back and, crack your back or whatever. You don't have time to do that. So just sit there, get in the zone and take the test. Adrenaline kicks in. It's almost like an out-of-body experience when you're taking this test, and that might sound dramatic, and if you're not a law student or an attorney or whatever, this makes no sense to you, but it truly is an out-of-body experience when you're taking that test. Because it's something you've prepared for first of all, like 3 months, but before that for 3 years. Because law school, every class you'll ever take, every professor always talks about that and how you need to prepare and blah, blah, blah. So you've been preparing for this for about 3 years. You probably know everything you need to know when you get to that test. If you've been studying for at least, a month, you probably know everything you need to know. It's in there somewhere. And if you don't know the answer on an essay, bullshit it. Throw in some fun words that they teach you. Codicil, the doctrine of, no, I can't even talk about wills. No, I can't even talk about it because it was so traumatic for me. But you know what I'm talking about. You know the important words that you have to throw in. Now, tips for the online exam specifically. As someone who's never taken the in-person exam, I have nothing to compare it to. I thought multiple choice online was honestly better than written multiple choice because I hate doing Scantrons. It's the bane of my existence as a test taker. Hate Scantrons. So it saves you on that. And you can highlight and you can make notes and flag questions just like you could on a paper exam. So to be quite honest, I enjoyed the online multiple choice more. When it came to the essays and MPT, I think they really have to do a lot of work on the technology there, although I do think this would be their last time doing an electronic completely exam, at home at least. I do think that it needs a lot of work. The essay portion online really wasn't bad because I had prepped for the essays online. I didn't do written notes. I didn't read from the book the second time around. I did everything online because that's how you're taking the test. So don't even bother reading it from the book and highlighting in the book because you're really just screwing yourself over because you can't use a book or notes or anything during the test. You're not going to have any paper on the essays. In New York, you can't have any paper. So don't even bother using the book, just do it online. And if you get used to it, it's not bad. Now the MPT online, I do not like, because it was very frustrating to scroll down this long 12-page thing while you have your notes here. I mean, it's a very small screen, but it wasn't impossible, and it was definitely improved from October. So I think you could even do Control F to like find words within the PDF of the MPT. So if you knew, oh, like that person's name was Betty in one of the cases, like Control F, got to find that case, just look up Betty and you could get to that case. I think you could do Control F. Can't really remember. You sort of block it out. It's like a traumatic experience. You don't really remember much from that day. And then let's briefly talk about post-bar exam. I was like distraught after the bar. Guys, like I'm losing my mind. After the first day, I was stressed, but I was like, okay, we're halfway through. Multiple choice was my strong suit, much less stress on your body to do multiple choice, to be quite honest. So I was kind of excited for that second day. After the second day was done, I like cried for like an hour on the bathroom floor. I was just so upset. I thought for sure that I failed, absolutely for sure. Cried. Then the next day was a Thursday. I had to go to work, cried all day at work, cried all day Friday, cried over the weekend, cried. After about a month, I sort of not forgot about it, but I moved on. Then towards the end of March, I could not enjoy life. If you watch my vlogs, I couldn't like go out on the weekends. I couldn't do things because I would just be thinking, oh my God, like this is my last month of freedom. We're going to find out in April, and I'm going to find out that I failed, and I'm going to have to study again, and I'm going to have to take off work and all this stuff. I was so sure that I failed. And the first time around, I was like, that was hard, but I probably passed. And they always say, when you're sure that you failed, you passed. And when you think that you passed, you failed. And that rang true for me. And I was like, oh, that won't happen to me. Like, I definitely failed. Like, no, I really failed. But I did it. I passed. So if you take it and you are positive that you failed, you probably passed. I don't know why that works out, but it does. So just keep that in mind. And my score increased from a 150. Wait, what the hell was my score the first time around? Okay, so the first time in New York, you need a 266 to pass. The first time that I took it, I got a 253. So I was only 13 points away from passing. And I don't think that's like a lot. I think that's like a pretty small margin. I mean, I know people that got a 260 and you need a 266, 263. So obviously they're way closer, but I don't think a 253 is that far, 13 points. And again, I think if it had been the full test the first time around, I think I would have passed. The second time around, I got what did I get? A 293. So I increased my score by 40 points in the span of like 2 months, month and a half, give or take, because I didn't study every day. So I think these tips truly helped me. Quality over quantity, adapt to bar, and unadapt. My final multiple choice tip, I just forgot about this, is that every question I got wrong, I wrote out the answer to in my own words so that I knew I understood it. I mean, you can copy Adaptabar's explanation all you want, but that doesn't mean it makes sense to you. But when you can transfer something into your own words, that's how you know it makes sense. And another way that you can test yourself is to try to explain a topic to someone who isn't a law student or a lawyer. Because if you can explain something to someone who has no clue what the hell you're talking about, you probably understand it. So that's something you can do. Or if you have no one to explain it to or you're like embarrassed, just say it out loud. So those are my tips on what I did different on the second time around and what I think helped me pass. Now, if you're still here, no, I'm not admitted yet. And that's another thing in and of itself. After you pass the bar in New York, it's different in each department, but then you start your character and fitness. In other states, you can do character and fitness before you even take the bar, which I think is a better way to go about it. So you're not waiting and waiting and waiting. But in New York, you cannot start character and fitness until you find out whether or not you passed. Once you find out you passed, you can start your application, but you can't even submit it because you have to get letters from all your employers and whatever. That takes time. All the letters need to be dated within 60 days of the application. So you can't even get letters beforehand because if it's 60 days, it's expired, you have to get a new one. So you have to wait until you find out you passed. After you pass, like a few days later, they'll send you an email that has this form that you'll have to print out to submit with your application. You have to watch these videos and put the little code in that they'll like randomly throw in the video on a sheet of paper to also submit to show that you watched the videos. It's a very time-consuming process, to be quite honest. And once you submit, there is no indication of how long it could take. Some people hear back in a few weeks. Some people it takes months. I've been waiting over a month to hear back, still haven't heard back, and we're just chilling. So it's a very long process, which is so lovely. I mean, thank God I finally passed. I did all the things and we're just waiting on the state to figure their shit out. But again, it's annoying because like you're waiting on being admitted so you can finally say you're an attorney, and generally speaking, it comes with a raise typically when you're admitted and more things that you can do because you're actually an attorney. In New York, you can practice under the supervision of a licensed attorney, depending on like your area of law. So there's other ways you could still practice in the meantime, but this video is not about that because I truly don't have explanations for all those things. But I hope you guys found this video informative. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. So many of you have DM'd me and stuff like that, and I try to offer my best advice. But good luck to everyone taking the bar exam, whether you're taking it this July or you're watching this video 5 years from now and you're taking it. Good luck. If you've studied, you can do it. And even if you haven't studied, there's still a way you could pass. I mean, some people pass without studying, so props to them. I will link that MPT video down below. Definitely go check it out. I will also link Adapt Bar. So go check out those resources. There's still time to study. There's always time to get better. There's always time to improve your score. So do that. And guys, you don't have to do well. You just have to pass. You don't have to do well. Just pass. And you don't even need to be an expert. You don't even have to be well versed on the topics. You just have to have minimum competency. And that's, if anything, a reassuring thought. So with that being said, good luck, and I'll see you on the other side when you pass.